this is Involve Innovation YouTube channel. In this series of videos, we will see about React hooks. React hooks are the biggest update since the React launch. React 16.8.0 is the first release to support hooks. React hooks makes React more powerful and increase the ease of use. In this video, we will see about the useState hook and how it is comparable to the class-based components lifecycle methods. First, we will create a base project to demonstrate the useState hook. We will start by creating a new React application named INC-DEC. In this application, we are going to write a simple single-page application which increments and decrements a value based on the button click. And we will use Create React App to create this base project. Create React App will set up the development environment for a single-page application. Now use the command create react app INC-DEC. Now we have created a React application named INC-DEC. We will navigate inside the INC-DEC folder and use the npm start command to start the application. This will start the application in the port 3000. So in the browser, a tab will be opened automatically with localhost 3000. Open command prompt in the INC-DEC folder and enter the command code period. Here, if you have installed Visual Studio Code in your system, this will open this folder in the Visual Studio Code. Now we have opened this project in the Visual Studio Code with the command code period. Now we will clean up the generated code based on our need. Now we will delete some of the files. First delete app.css and delete app.test.js and delete serviceworker.js and then delete the logo.svg and then set up tests.js. Now we will remove the deleted file references in the app.js and delete the generated JSX statements in the return statement. We will write some text to check whether this cleanup caused any issue or not. So I am just entering the text test. Now remove the deleted file references in the index.js as well. In the browser we can see test. So this project is working fine, and now create a new folder named component under src folder. Now we have set our base environment to learn about setState hook. Here we will parallelly see how we can set state in class component and in a functional component using useState. For that, first I will create a JavaScript file named class component. If you have installed the necessary plugins, RC is the shortcut to create React class component. Now remove the export keyword before the class. We will create a constructor in the React component. This is where we will initialize the state in the React class component. Constructor is a method which automatically called during the creation of an object from a class. Constructor takes props as argument and passes it to the superclass component. This can be done using super props. We will initialize the state for this class component, that is by this.state equal to open parenthesis. Here we will initialize the value as 0. Here inside the return statement we will have a header which is denoted by h1 tag which has the text initial value 10. We will have a subheader h2 with text current value equal to and the value state this.state.value. Here we can use this.state to retrieve the value state and button to increment the value in the state, and on click of this button invoke a function named incrementValue to increment the state value, and another button to decrement value in the state. On click of this button invoke a function named decrementValue to decrement the state value. Now we will write a function named incrementValue function which uses setState method to increment the value state. and decrement value function which uses the setState method to decrement value state. Now we'll call this class component in the app.js and then import the class component. If we press the increment button, the value will be incremented by 1, and if we press the decrement button, the value will be decremented by 1. Now we will write a functional component to replicate the same functionality which we have achieved using class component. And for this, I am using useState hook. And here, same like RCE, RFC is the shortcut to create a functional component. Now, copy the JSX code in the render method of the class component to the hook component. Remove the increment value and decrement value functions in the on click of both the buttons. Now we will use the useState hook. useState hook takes the default value as the parameter. Here we will assign the initial value of the value variable to 10. So here I am passing 10 to this useState hook. useState returns the array where the first parameter is the current state of the value and the second parameter is the setValue function to update the state of the value. Here we are using ES6 destructuring syntax to get the value and set state. For the people who are not familiar with destructuring in ES6, this is a quick guide. Here, destructuring enables us to unpack values from the array or object and assign it directly to a distinct variables. Here, the returned array from the useState is unpacked using the ES6 destructuring. Without destructuring, this can be done as: first, assign the returned array from the useState hook to the state value variable. We have the state value variable and assign the state value's 0th index value to the value variable and state value first index value to set value variable. Here, this set value is the function. We are reducing the verbose code and can be abstracted to a single line. Now, after the current value text, just refer the value variable which holds the state of the value. And in on-click of the increment and decrement button, use the arrow function to increment or decrement the value. And set using the setValue function. This arrow function doesn't take any parameters. And then here I am calling the setValue and incrementing the value by 1 and decrementing the value by 1 in decrement button. Now to differentiate class and hook component, I am adding a header as class component to the class component and header hook component to the hook component. Now we will open the browser. Now the increment and decrement in class component works exactly same like how it is working in a hook component. Now we will compare the class component and the hook component. The class component, we are initializing the value variable to 0 in the constructor using this.state. Whereas in the hook component, we are passing the initial value of value variable as 0 to the useState hook. And in the class component, we are accessing the value state using this.state.value. Whereas in the hook component, it is returned as a first parameter in the useState hook. We can use this value variable directly in the JSX. In the class component, we are updating the state of the value using this.setState function. Whereas the hook component, we are doing it using the setValue function, which is returned as a second parameter in the useState hook. We can have n number of useState in a React component for different variables. Thanks for watching this video and consider subscribing if you find this content useful and if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for subscribing.